Hello, this lecture will be our first week lecture, so we are still staying in the introduction. So we'll talk more about like what's web programming and then what kind of knowledge you may need. Okay, so just briefly go through about the structure. Okay, and I know some students asking about the software post. Okay, after this lecture, the video uploaded, then I will post the week 2. Okay, and then I will give you all the guidelines, like what kind of software you have to upload, and then I will create the first assignment. Then you will have around 2 weeks to install all the softwares, and then remember to cap screen. Okay, make the screenshot and then put it in the Word file. Okay, so you can submit all those results. Okay, to show that okay, if you're able to do it, maybe for some students it may be taking longer time, but just let me know. Okay, if you need more time and support. And that's what I heard. If we decide should be the next that means week 2 Thursday. If a student want to meet and then make sure all your software being installed, all I have to do the installation. Okay, so when we talk about the web programming and interface design, actually we have so many area we have to cover. Okay, first part, if you pretty familiar, maybe we'll talk about the HTML. Okay, and then we'll talk about the like CSS, JavaScript, the most pretty common like when we're building the website. But this one is called the front end. Okay, and then we have more other language how to build a website, and the one we are going to use is the React.js. Okay, and if you remember, when we talk JS is from the JavaScript that we have using the language Node.js, and it will be look like if you look at the design structure, so it's not really completely exactly same as the regular HTML. After we implement all those functions, then we will put it as a production. So we need to generate all those source file. Okay, and this one will be more likely we call the front end. Or sometimes if you heard the term, they call that like front end, front back end like this. So in the long time ago, when we talk about front end, we just focus on what we can see. There's the website, the HTML. Okay, of course, including the CSS, and then they have some animation or functions like provided by the JavaScript. So that one will be the front end. But because once we're using the React.js or the AngularJS, so all this can be built like we can call it like the front back end. So that means like we try to building the front end using some like back end tools. So this one we heard the term. Okay, and of course, if we look at the compete, so I will switch. There's a picture. So if you take a look, if for our compete like structure for a website, that's what we're doing. When the client, okay, they want to see, okay, from the device or web page, then we try to access, including the web server. We will cover the one is called the engines. I will show you, and then we will have the application server that we're going to build like the API server to like getting the requests, handle those requests, and the API server will access to our database. Okay, so this one is the back end. Okay, so it's like behind the scenes. Okay, so and the database can be the MySQL, the RDMS, or the nowadays maybe we're using the NoSQL. Okay, so any example of it. So you will see what this part would be the front end. That's what we're going to do. Okay, and also we have to build a back end. So that's why I say our course, especially for this web programming and interface design. So what's the interface? The interface will including, actually it means two things. One is called the UI, okay, user interface. Actually, another interface you heard about actually is the application, okay. So like the API, okay, server. So actually, like to me, I would say actually we will have two type of interface, okay. And I wish like if when we look at this picture, you have a better picture what are we going to do and then how a website like works. Okay, so like we are not only building something, just look at the design, but also including if we want to make sure your website you're going to build project you're going to work on is like a complete website. Okay, that means like from the UI, when we look at UI, click on the button. Okay, so we are access to the web server and then connect to the API server. Okay, and then access the data. So we return it and then show it on our client side. So it's the whole structure of the website. Okay, and all this will be the example. So maybe you will start to ask, okay, then we start to doing the web programming, and which kind of skills we're thinking they're important. So you can take a look. Okay, so right here, if we choose like on this part, we were using VS. Okay, sometimes you see the reduce. Okay, Angular. And another one is a Vue.js too. So they are all the framework help us to build the website. Okay, and all this really depends on need. Okay, maybe some company they prefer using React. Okay, some of them they say, okay, let's use Angular, and then actually Vue is like in last these like 5 years is getting more popular because it's getting easy. Okay, and then the structure also more simple. Okay, to build. Um, Also, like for the some request sending, so we'll be using jQuery, okay, and the language we use it like HTML, CSS, and then something you use CSCX, and then we have the JavaScript, okay, JS, and also sometimes we will like convert it. The reason we using the React.js, so they will convert them to SASS or like the less, so we'll convert the SAS to so we make it more simple. And when we create those projects using the React, also the Node.js, you see actually come with the Node.js is called the npm. So npm is called the Node Package Manager because when we are building a website, okay, maybe using React, okay, or Vue.js, Angular, whatever, okay. Sometimes we'll use certain library, okay. Some we need to install, so this is called a package, the Node Package Manager. So it can help us to install different package, okay, can help us to build. Also, there are more like for testing. It will be the last part in our lecture. So it will be the kind of like last week. I will give you some sample code, okay, and then you can try. And for doing the unit test, like for the good developer, we always say doing the unit test, testing all those function, what you expect to be return, does it match the result? Okay, to compare it. Okay, and then another one we use will be the CS framework. So one of the popular ones that Bootstraps. Okay, so we are going to use it. So when we cover the our CSS part, okay. So there's a kind of like basic all the firmware, also all the software we're going to use, okay, for us. Like of course we can use all of them together, and also like based on the need we'll pick. And this time I would choose that we are going to using React.js using Node.js, and we'll use the npm to install it, okay. And also, we were using Mocha and Chai and Jest to testing. Okay, and we were using the Bootstrap too. Okay, and also I recommend that if you try to work on your assignment, okay, or your good project, I would recommend you using a GitHub. If you don't have a GitHub, try to open the account. Okay, so as a software engineer, web programmer, so whatever, it can be your profile. Okay, so they will check your contribution, okay, your activities. So if you want to build your personal profile, you can work on more on the Git. Okay, the extra. And that's why when we're asking, like, here's a reason I say that we try to using GitHub, and then we can use it for the web development. So because we sometimes we will do it like locally, maybe your laptop working with others, and when we need to deploy to other device, let's say, okay, you are testing, you have your own database on your laptop, okay, maybe you have the your Node.js, right? All the source file. But you may not really like upload a file, okay, every file to the server. So you will just using a Git clone, okay, Git push to update, or when you're working as a team, okay, you want to put the latest update from others. then we are better to use it. Okay. And also we have the version control. Okay. So checking what's the update. So be careful. Sometimes that you realize that, okay, when we're using Git and with your source file, sometimes if some problem happen, okay, lots of different type of error, like didn't update, you're not able to push the file to the Git, okay, or the version mess up. So I can roll back to all these things, okay. And just a quick question and asking, like you can see right here. So if we work on the JavaScript, because we talk like when we learning web programming, and especially we using Node.js, JS from JavaScript, right? But for the latest version, actually it changed a lot, okay. But certain syntax it keep the same. An example, this is var, okay. In the old JavaScript, if we create a variable, okay, if you from learning from other language, maybe you say like in, okay, flow, double, okay, this is the data type. In JavaScript, we're using var, okay, so and depends on the assigned value, then JavaScript determine, okay, is a integer, is a string, okay, so we'll know, okay. So right here, if we inputting, so not a number, and then if we try to compare, if A is like equivalent to A, that means like the data type and then the value itself. So you see the triple equal sign. That means that we have to match the value, also the data type. Okay, so we're showing, okay, yes or no. So you can guess, okay, what's the result. Once we start to work on Node.js, I will recommend you try to execute. And later you see we are using Node.js. We are barely we will talk about the scope, okay, the variables, okay. So we are using more on the let and const, okay. So you later we will cover this part more. And as a following, okay, so what kind of, we will ask a question, what is the best way to master the web programming? So like basically we're talking and we say, then think about like all the language, all the tools, and then how to always say pick up and then follow the trend. So we have to study, okay, and then check the open source, and then maybe the last part after we do it, just a practice, okay. So search for different type of project, download from the Git, okay, or some people post it, you can modify and then upload to the Git. It can be your profile, okay. So everything based on practice, okay. So especially for building website like API server, all this, okay. So once you have more experience, then you will able to do it. And I would recommend students like don't worry about making mistake, okay. If we have the error, we just need to do deeper. Even it crash, just looking for some way like to fix it or roll back, save a copy, okay. Trying, okay. So it's a better way. Again, we can explore new possibility. And right here online, actually, if we do it like all the lots of online lots of things, and then we'll talk about some like browser features, and then or the browser we're using Chrome, use Safari when we're doing the development. So sometimes we have also consider what those like browsers, okay, we are using. Okay, so we need to think. And if you do have maybe you hear what we're talking about like HTML5, okay, and actually nowadays we barely really learn HTML5, but we do keeping the some certain features of it. So later you will see it, but I'll say the new trend when we I would like to show you one thing after we finish and go through all these slides. I will want to show like on the link in the job post what they are looking for. Then it's like we'll know, okay, what the industry need, okay, what kind of position they're hiring. And I would the last part to recommend always like reading. Okay, so looking different article, online searching, and then because web programming, especially web programming, is rapidly changing. Okay, so maybe in this month or maybe mid of the, I cannot guarantee because as what I say, like in last semester, in the mid of semester, the React.js like capsule is like getting fade out and then change the weight. Okay, so that's why if you are learning certain using certain firmware, suddenly you say, okay, getting fade out, then you need to pick up a new one, okay, quickly. Of course, it really depends on the company. And right here, I would like to show, like I mentioned about the W3 school. Okay, so it's a really useful platform. Like no, not just only the HTML, Node.js you can find, and then it will talk about the Amazon AWS too. So later sometimes I will refer to certain content, and also unluckily because our schedule of our web programming and interface design actually is really tight, because I try to include like not only the front end, like back end. So we have limited time. So lots of things maybe you need to study by yourself and looking for some example. But only when good things like all these like are available like online and on the W3 school. So we talk about like the front end right here. If you're interested in the HTML, how to create the first, it's a general one, but if we're using React, it looks like totally different. I will show you the code to you after this part. Okay, so you could think some text. Also, we still need to learn like certain text, but because like React is a functional base, so we don't have to like generate stuff from the HTML head and body like this. Okay, and but for the I will add a little bit like how a general HTML looks like. Okay, so I will show you and you will see. Okay, and then we have lots of like some elements, different attributes. Okay, and this one I will put it kind of like later of um in our progress. Okay, so I will give you more like suggestion. Okay, and later we will like work on certain like styles, CSS. And all these things you can find example like on W3 school. And if you have no idea, if you're looking for something, then you can refer to it. Okay. And also you can find a JavaScript like and CS like more CSS content, JavaScript right here. Even though if we are using the Node.js, actually for the Node.js itself, the language itself have other function and features. So it's um not exactly apply. So I will recommend you like if you are using it, please check the JavaScript this part. Okay, and you see we're using var. Okay, for the variable, but for the latest update, so we're using let and then constant. Okay, so this one is actually added to JavaScript after 2015. So you see if there's something new updated, then we can find it. And also on the W3 school, also it posts like all the latest update. So that's how we need to like keep on track. Okay, so maybe we check what's the new update function. Okay, for the JS provider. So maybe there's like a regular expression. Okay, so slash read to like getting the certain patterns. So or the regular expression, there's an escape function. So it's like it released in 2025. So you see, if we need looking for some functions, then we can go here and check, and then we can check like okay, what kind of browser, which our browser, right? Do they support? Okay, so we can use this function for Google Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Safari, and Opera. And the first one, Chrome supported by April. Okay, Edge May. So let's say if they just release and if we are in May 2025, then we need to find, okay, what kind of browser may be not supported. Okay. Luckily, within that time, we can use on the Firefox, okay, and also Safari, or they support it even earlier in 2024, okay, and then Chrome is okay, Edge is okay, but unluckily the Opera is not yet. Then we need to know, okay, so this function, okay, can be supported or not. So keep checking. And another one, if you remember the picture right here, the web server. So I talked about is called the Nginx. Okay, if you search it, it called the Nginx. Okay, Nginx right here. We're going to install it on our server. Okay, server side. So if you can create the AWS account easy too. Okay, you can install it. Later I will show it on the lab, give you the guideline to install it. Just really simple. And if you have some issue, because I know like some student already use the AWS, you can install the VMware, okay, VMware, and then or any like parallel box or like that, the virtual machine to install the Linux system. Okay, so I will use Ubuntu as an example. Okay, and if you want to change, like let's say using Debian, Arch, whatever, then you can use it. Okay, but the command looks not the same. Okay, so you have to change it by yourself. And that's like we're going to use. And when we talk about, okay, so when we work on this like web programming, then we will ask a question, okay, in the industry, okay, what are they looking for? So let's say I found the one like in Houston. So they were looking for some expected like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and pretty simple, and then they're looking for some like bachelor degree in computer science, web development, or related field. Okay, so just another salary like based on what you need, and then we can see like front end right here, and you can see, okay, so what kind of skills and knowledge they are looking for. And right here, maybe they will have some like code assessment, you know, that they will send you the link, and you need to have some idea JavaScript. And that one you will see is the TypeScript. I'm not going to cover because otherwise you have to learn another language. TypeScript is including more, you need to define the data type. If you remember, we're using let, const, or the var. Okay, so that one is determined. But sometimes we have to define our own data type. Like this is why they invent the TypeScript. Okay, to solve the problem. So kind of like similar to Node.js, but that's syntax slightly not the same. So quickly just like overlay, and then maybe you need to learn the SQL, the SQL, okay. And they maybe have some more like this. So always check the needs, okay, the requirement, okay. So sometimes they're using Git, CI/CD, okay, AWS. So hopefully like in our course, I hope like at least I can cover the basic or pretty common skill set you're going to learn, okay, which like will be enough for you, okay, looking for job if you want to be a web developer, okay. So, and based on the need, like maybe the job opening, what kind of skill they need, then you can switch, okay, and even you can like change it working on your project, okay. Let's say I'm using um the MongoDB, but you think that Postgre will be better, okay, or like I think more in common in the industry, okay. So if your group want to use it, then you're totally fine, okay. And later I will open the group, so maybe around like 4 to 5 students can form the group, so you can work together. Okay, because I know for this project actually there's too much workload, like front end, back end. Okay, for back end you need to implement AWS Server database. Okay, and testing. Okay, so you need to do documentation. So here's all the works. As the first day, um, like not really first day, but like as a of the week one, like our first lecture, okay, this part. So we just like briefly go through, introduce, let you have some idea what's the web programming, and later for starting the next week, so we will really start, okay, to set to install all the softwares and teaching something including some like content related to web programming and interface design. And thank you so much.